Welcome to SCAL6 My Favorite Things, Part 6, Other Functions for Designing. In Part 5, I covered my favorite SCAL6 designing features that are contained in the effects menu. In this video, Part 6, I'm going to show you 5 additional favorites that are found in other parts of the software. As always, I'm only showing 1 or 2 examples. There is so much more you can create with these tools when you just start playing with them and when you open up your imagination. The first function I want to cover is the duplicate rotated, or the wreath maker as I like to call it. So you just start with any particular shape and you go to Object, Duplicate Rotated, and this window opens and you can start making your copies. Now you'll notice that there's a lot of overlap right away. So this is the setting you want to use to spread them out. It's called Rotate V Offset. And as you increase this out, spread it out, you can then add more depending on however many you want to have for your particular design. And then once you're happy with the design, whatever overlap you want, whatever, then you're done. Just click on OK, and then you can weld this. You can use Path Union. Now then, the other thing you can do, instead of doing a full circle, you can also make a partial circle. And the way to do that is, once again, you start using however many copies you want. You can spread them out. And when you get to some point, watch this number down here, this one that's in gray. As you increase the copies, that number changes. It's basically an angle. And so once you get to a particular even, I always shoot for an even number, okay? Once you get there, then change your rotate to custom. And then if you want half a circle, divide this number by 2. If you wanted a fourth of a circle, then you divide it by 4. Okay, so I'm going to make a half a circle, so I change that to 30. Okay, and then I'm going to press the tab key to see what it looks like. And then again, I need to spread these out if I want to use that many. And then if you decrease this down, then you start, losing what part, how much, what portion of the circle that you're going to have. But you can keep playing with it if you want to or not. You can come back. And again, it was, I had 6 of them that I used to make the half circle. And then whenever you're happy with it, then you can just click on OK. And then you can, of course, rotate this around or whatever you want to do. I will rotate it using this circle set. Or it's actually easier just to rotate manually like that until you get nice and even across like that. Okay, and then you can again just use Path Union to weld it. Another way you can use duplicate rotated is to make a frame, like let's say for a picture or for matting something and scrapbooking or whatever. So you have a border that's created and you go to Object, Duplicate Rotated, and then you put in exactly 4 copies, just like that. And then as you increase your rotate V offset, you can end up and basically create yourself a frame just like this. Click on OK, and again apply Path Union. One thing about this window, let me come back in, is that if you want to understand more about the settings that are available, in here, then again, just I refer to the SCAL6 user manual, and I have a link to it in the description, the video description, just as I did the prior video, so that you can find out how to do, what's the purpose of some of these other things. The next one I want to show you is stroke to path. And so I have a circle here with a fill set to none, and I have a stroke color set to gray. And as I increase, this stroke width, and I've shown this in other videos, it starts to form like this border all around the cut line. But either way, if I send this to cut, there's still just one cut line. It's still just going to cut that one. When I cover my mouse there, you can see that green line right in the middle. However, if you wanted to cut 2, if you want to cut a line on the inside and the outside, then you simply go to Path, Stroke to Path, and now then there's 2 cut lines. And if I look at the preview, you can see that, yes, indeed, it's going to cut 2 different lines there. So how would you use that in designing? Well, let me show you. So I've typed out and I've welded the letters for Arizona. And now then I'm going to go to the library and go to USA category and grab the state of Arizona and then make it larger. And now then the idea is I want to weld the word Arizona into the side of, into the side of the state of Arizona. And I'm sure you've seen that before. So how do I do that? Well, this is where stroke and path makes it really fast. So I come over to the stroke setting here, and I'm going to change this to color. And then I'm going to pick a color, and I'll pick that same color I used for the lettering. And then I'm going to increase the width until it's about the width of kind of like the smaller letters, something about like that. Then I go to path, stroke to path, and then of course when I do that, if I turn on show grid, you can see that this is hollow now. This really is a frame, it's hollow, and so I can weld something to it without it disappearing or doing anything else odd. So the next step is I take the word Arizona, I'm going to rotate it around until it's roughly kind of parallel with this side, something like that, and kind of roughly in the middle, something like that. And then what I need to do before I weld it, I need to have a little bit of overlap from both of these sides, overlapping the letters. And I need to get rid of that part of the border, the state border, so that it doesn't, become part of it. I just want to see Arizona. So I found a really kind of fast way to do that, and I'm going to zoom in. And it's using one of the edit tools that I had showed in the editing video. And so over on the layers panel, I'm going to lock my Arizona. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to leave it showing, but I'm going to lock it. And then with it locked, let me show you, with it locked, then I don't have to worry about damaging because I want it to stay just as it is. I just want to erase this line that's in here. And the way to erase, as I had shown in a previous video, is the stencil bridge lets you do a straight line erase. So I'm going to select that. And I come over here and drag to see how big it is. And I think to myself, yeah, that's about right. That's plenty big. And I'm going to come over, and I don't want to start too far out because I don't want to get any of the bar that's on the outside. I want to start about right here. And that could always repeat. So I'm going to come all the way up here, and I'm going to get about halfway through the letter A. Okay, and then I can come back here and just kind of get this little bit here, maybe just a tiny bit more. Okay, just like that. So basically, I've raised the side of the state that was going through the letters. Then I can unlock Arizona. Okay, and then let's kind of zoom out, and then I can select the entire thing and apply path union. And then when I look at the preview, you can see now that it would all weld as just one big shape. So there you go, kind of a cool little application for using stroke to path. So the next one of my favorite things for miscellaneous designing is gradient. And so here I have a circle and I've selected gradient, and the default, from the drop-down menu, and the default is like, kind of a shades of gray. To change that to make it, customized to what you want, you select one of the little, at the start, the little kind of arrow, and then click on the color box, and then you can select a color. And so I can just make it whatever color I would like to use. Let's say something like this, click on OK. And then here at the end, I click on it, and I'm going to change it from white to blue. And again, you can make it, a different shade of blue if you want. And then that basically becomes the gradient. Now you can add more colors by just clicking anywhere in here. In this case, I'm just going to put one. I'm going to make it white in the middle, just like that. And then depending on where you slide this will affect, whether it's, kind of balanced between the two colors or different, or, more one or the other. And then when you click on OK, your gradient changes. If you want a contour type gradient, because this is called linear, and you can change it to radial, and then you get basically this kind is going to start in the middle and go towards the outside. Now then, let me show you one that that I was playing with, which is using the word freedom. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select the gradient. Well, of course, one of the things I should have done is, number one, I should have held on to the gradient I selected, but I didn't. So I'll just very quickly recreate it. I'm just going to use regular red, blue, and then white in the middle. By the way, I want to show you something else. Okay, let's say I did a purple one, and then let's say over here I did a white one. And then I look at it and I say, I don't really want the purple. To get rid of one of these, you just drag it down and it disappears. That took me a while to figure out. So anyway, so now we have the linear, and then one of the things I wanted to show you, and I'm so glad this came up maybe 4 or 5 days ago. Someone contacted me and asked me this question. I'm so glad he did, because I would have forgotten to show it to you. You'll notice how it goes from left to right, the coloring. And of course, if I come over to this tool over here called, here it is, gradient, looks just like a gradient. and then I drag from this side across to this side, then I reverse it. Now, if you want it to be top to bottom, then you do it from the bottom here and move to the top, and then it'll take it red up to blue, or if I come up here from this side down to here, it'll put red on top. So that gives you the freedom to just do some on-screen modifications of it. One thing to note, you don't want to start down here low. Like you start down here and then you drag up, well then you've lost the red because the red is kind of stuck down here somewhere, okay? So you want to stay kind of close to the edges of the design so that you get the full range of the gradient in there. So this next one is one of the options that's available in the Distribute menu, and it's called Distribute to Selection Below. And here's the way it works. Over here, I have a rounded rectangle, and I have it located in the bottom of the Layers panel. Then I've typed out these letters. I did vertical type, and I need to ungroup them. And the idea is what I want to do is I want to distribute these along this, well, they're not going to touch this, but they're going to be spaced so that the top of the A is aligned with the top of the rounded rectangle, and the bottom of the E is aligned with the bottom of the rectangle. So the way it works, you take your lettering, and then of course in SCAL6 you can split text here, do split all, or you can go to Object Ungroup. Then once I have these, separated, then I can select all, again, verify that the rectangle's on the bottom, and actually I'm going to select these. This right here, I don't need anymore. Yeah, it goes away. So now then I select these and I go to Object, Distribute. Make sure you have Distribute to Selection Below marked first. Then you'll come back into this menu and you'll say, I want to distribute this so that it has vertically with equal spacing. And then there you have it. Then you can just take your letters here, and let me pop out the position and size panel. I'm going to left align them, and then I'm going to move them over using arrow keys on my keyboard. Try that again. Arrow keys on my keyboard and bring them over until they overlap this, or whatever you're designing. I just happen to be designing like a border here where I can then come back and I can weld the letters to that particular rounded rectangle. But you get the idea. And then of course that's doing it vertically. Here's an example where I'm going to do it horizontally. Same thing. I have all of these hearts here, and I have the now with these stars, since it's not a single object, I need to group them. I can't leave them individually because then it would try to do it with just one of the stars. But I went ahead and grouped all these stars. So then when I come up and I go to the same thing, Object, Distribute, again, I got that marked, and distribute space horizontally. And now then it has all those hearts distributed. And then if I want them aligned, then I come back to my position and size panel and align them. And now then again, this left heart is aligned with this left star. The right side of this heart is aligned with the right star. So another great example of using this particular Distribute to Selection Below came up when someone asked me how I would distribute a series of names equally around a circle. And she wanted it so that she could change out the names as needed for her business. So I came up with a method, and it involved using Distribute to Selection Below. And so, but I'm not going to go into the details. Basically, here I've typed out the names. Just a thing to always remember is that you're going to need an extra little vertical line at the end so that you don't end up with the first and last names being right, not having a space between them. And I explained that in a video, how I took that and a rectangle that's the same as the circumference of the circle that would fit this ornament, and then turned it into this particular final product. So I'm going to link that video in the description for this video so that you can watch it if you're interested. And the last one I want to talk about that's related to designing is called data source copies. It's new to SCAL6, and it's one of those functions that, I'm going to show it to you, and you're probably going to go, well, I don't think I'll ever need that. And that's how it is. Nobody thinks they need it until they do. And then they're desperate for it. And one of the examples that I've had come up over the years, unfortunately, I had a program, a $1,300 program that I was hired to document back in 2005 that had this capability. And I was then able over the years to help people, just basically I'd do it for them. And then I also did it for my two sons' weddings. Now then, as of this year, SCAL6 has this particular function, and it's awesome. So you have a design such as what I have here, which is meant to be like a fold-up card with a little hearts here poking up because they're cut out. And then you can see I have name and table. And the idea is you can import a database. You can import a CSV file, which can come from a spreadsheet or Google table or whatever. And it's going to have, every row is going to have somebody's name and their table number. And then basically once you get it all set up, and in this video, I'm just going to show you some examples of data source copies, because if I get into the details of how you do every single thing, it's going to confuse you. It's really quite straightforward when you get ready to do it, but it's a difficult thing to remember. So you're going to be able, you'll want to be able to access my expanded tutorial that's on this, which is linked inside the SCAL6 a lot user manual. But anyway, so once you get it all set up, then you check out the preview and everything, look at what it does. It just comes in here, it makes duplicates of all of your design, and then it has imported the names and the table numbers that have been assigned for every one of the attendants. And then, by the way, when you see this here, that just means that this was the last person, and then, it goes ahead and fills up the rest of the page with extras, but you can delete those, of course. So extremely powerful function. But let me show you more than just like these escort cards from a wedding reception. You can also set up something like this, where you've got a logo and a serial number, and the serial number has been set up to start at a particular number. And then in the way I set it up was I just set, let's say, a year to start with, and then 001, 002, and then it will just generate, the sequential product numbers that you want. And it doesn't have to be 1, 2, 3. You could have it skip. It could be 01 and 10, 20, 30, whatever. You have a lot of freedom in terms of how you set it up. Same thing goes for dates. You can also just set up a particular date or something. And of course, I just use a rectangle. It can be whatever design here you want to cut out, and then have it generate, and you tell it when to start and when to end, and it'll generate these dates. Again, here I have one, date, one day after another, but you could also set it up where it's weekly or monthly or yearly, whatever you want it to be. Another one could be something like this, just like a little ribbon bow or something, and then you import, just a single name for all of them, super fast. A more detailed example, and also shows the power of data source copies, is notice I have a star here, and this is just my base thing, and I've got a purple star, I've got a first for first name, and then I have an image of an apple. But in my database that I'm importing, for each row I have a color assigned to somebody's name, and then an image assigned. And the image is going to be like an image location, on your computer. And then when you generate it, I can generate all of these with everybody's name, what color they were assigned, and what image they were assigned. So this could be very fun for like a classroom environment, a school or daycare, or just your own family. Your own family's having a party or something. So anyway, that's just the power of it. It's an incredible function. And again, if you ever need help using it, feel free to come to me, because I've got it all documented in the user manual, but it might be too much for you. I believe Sandra Creighton Spain also did a video. I don't know how deep she got into. I don't remember if she got into parts like this, but again, it's in the user manual and you can contact me. Thank you so much for viewing this video. As always, feel free to post any questions you have about any of the material that was presented.